Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Source. Continuing with college football week 2. We had a decent week 1 plus 1.5 units. But let's move on to week 2. A lot of good games. And I'm talking about probably the best one on the board here. Texas at Alabama. Line opens up Alabama laying 6.5 points at home here. Total opens up at 64.5.
Welcome to The Source. The Source. Hey, get the sauce.
So like I said, this number opens up at 6.5, but then it jumps up to 7.5, and a lot of sharp action starts coming in on Texas, knocks it down to 7 even. And we're looking at a bit of a pros versus public setup here. Public slightly leaning Alabama, sharp action leaning Texas. So in this matchup, everyone's immediately going to think about last year's game, right? I mean, Alabama obviously won 2019. But those first 2 drives from Quinn Ewers in Texas, they looked good. These are Quinn Ewers' numbers from that game. He only played 2 drives. He got hurt first and goal on the 1-yard line of the second drive of that game. They scored a touchdown on that drive, tied the game 10-10. And the final score is 2019. So Texas defense played great from that point on for the rest of the game. So obviously, there are people out there who think Texas wins that game if Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt. I don't think that game's very relevant at all as far as predicting this game. I mean, sure, Quinn Ewers is still there at quarterback, and Worthy and Winnington, the 2 receivers, they're still there. But Texas had Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson in the backfield, and Bijan had a big game in 154 total yards and a touchdown, made a couple big plays. And Alabama's offense looks nothing like the offense we saw last year. Bryce Young and Jahmyr Gibbs are gone. They're in the NFL. Tommy Rees is calling the plays now. Alabama ran the ball in just 49.17% of their snaps last year, 86th in the FBS. I expect that number to be a lot higher this season. So how's Texas run defense then? I mean, that's the first question that popped into my head. And last year, it was great. 19th in yards per carry, 30th in yards per game, 6th in effective rush, according to BetaRank. Alabama did have great rushing numbers on Texas in last year's game, but keep in mind, Jace McClellan broke an 81-yard touchdown run. Without that run, Alabama averaged just 3.5 yards per carry in that game. But that was in Texas, and this one's in Tuscaloosa. And look at Alabama's home-away splits from last season. Perfect 7-0 at home, and the rushing gap is huge. 218.6 rushing yards per game at home compared to 167.4 on the road. So can Texas do it again, this time on the road? Well, I will say Texas brings back a lot of their production from last year. 3 of their 4 leading tacklers and 6 main role players are back. They lost to Marion Overshawn, who got drafted by the Cowboys, actually. But they bring in a senior safety from Arkansas that's supposedly pretty good. He's got 5 career interceptions. But looking at this defense, it's a bit concerning to see most of their strong spots in the secondary. Out of the top 5 leaders in sacks last season, only 1 is back. Barron Sor. He actually led the team. But like I said, Alabama's trying to run the ball here. Last week, Texas run defense was lights out. Rice had just 25 carries for 27 yards rushing in that game, just barely over 1 yard per carry. Rice did literally nothing in that game. They kicked a field goal on the opening drive. From that point on, Texas allowed just 3 first downs up until the very last drive of the game when it was over. I think we all know Alabama's offense is a bit different than Rice, but either way, I think Texas defense is going to make Alabama uncomfortable. Now, Milroe's numbers through the air last week are pretty much perfect, but he wasn't tested at all. He dropped back to pass only 18 times. Texas is going to force Milroe to make plays with his arm. We did see Jalen Milroe start a game for Alabama last year, home against Texas A&M, and the Crimson Tide offense struggled in that one. They only scored 24 points in that game. 17 of them came in the first half. They only scored 7 in the second half of this game, meaning once Jimbo Fisher got a look at Alabama's offense with Milroe in it, he was able to adjust and shut it down. I think Texas defensive coordinator Kwiatkowski is going to have this defense ready to take the run game away. I keep saying it. They're going to test Milroe's arm because that's what I believe is going to happen. I don't believe that's what Tommy Rees and Nick Saban want to do offensively at all. Now, do I like Quinn Ewers to carve up this Alabama defense like he did in the first couple drives of last year's game? No, not at all. Not even close. This is Alabama's defense in Tuscaloosa. That stadium's going to be rocking. I doubt Texas is going to be able to establish any sort of run game. I mean, they really couldn't run the ball in Alabama last year, and that was at home. 79 yards on just 2.4 yards a carry, so I doubt they're able to establish the run on the road here. A couple positive points for Alabama here. They've won 56 straight non-conference games. They're also 13-5-1 against the spread as home favorites since 2020. Texas, on the other hand, 0-3 against the spread as road dogs in the Steve Sarkisian era. As far as what I'm personally betting, I think both teams are going to try to establish the run, and I think both are going to fail, as I've said a couple times in this video. I think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks, and you mean to tell me I'm getting the better thrower catching a full touchdown? I'm going to take it. I'm going to bet Texas plus the points. I think I may split my money in half and also take the under at 54.5 though. So give me Texas plus 7 and the under at 54.5. If you want my top bets, you want to join the Discord, or if you want to get into the NFL against the spread competition, head over to KyleKirms.com. All the information's on there. College football week 2. We had a fun week 1. Let's keep it going into week 2. A lot of games on the board. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you on Twitter.